I grew up in Grimsfield, a small town in the middle of nowhere. I always knew there was something weird about this place, and my story confirms it. Last fall, I learned that Cathy Chambers had disappeared. My best friend Robbie and I were at school when the principal announced it over the PA system. He mentioned that Cathy and a few of her friends decided to enter an old condemned mine, even though it was clearly stated that it was dangerous to do so. "We don't know what happened last night," he said, "but we do know that Cathy never made it out of the mine. Police are on site investigating the case." Everyone at school was talking about Cathy's disappearance. The friends who were with her that night were distraught. Most of them were crying. "It's as if she just vanished into thin air," they said. I was so intrigued. The school bell rang at 4 p.m. to announce the end of the day. Robbie and I usually hung out after school, but that day we decided to go to the mine to investigate Cathy's disappearance ourselves. But little did we know the decision would haunt us for the rest of our lives. We got there a bit after sunset. There was yellow police tape securing the scene and blocking the entrance to the mine. We saw 3 policemen standing at the entrance. We immediately hid behind the trees because we knew we weren't supposed to be there. After an hour, they left and the entrance was unattended. We crossed the yellow tape and entered the mine. We turned on our phone's flashlight to light our way as it was pitch black and we couldn't see anything. It was surprisingly warm inside. So warm beads of sweat were forming on my forehead. We could also feel and hear the eerie holler of the wind blowing through the mine shafts and tunnels. We walked for about half an hour, searching all the nooks and crevices. It felt like we were walking around in circles and not going anywhere. Suddenly, we heard echoing murmurs followed by a slight, bone-chilling cry. I looked at Robbie. This must be Cathy. We raced through the darkness, heading in the direction of the cry. We took a narrow shaft which led us to a hidden tunnel. We walked through this tunnel deep into the mine, using these surreal murmurs as our guide. It was then that we saw strange lights flickering in front of us. I shouted, "Cathy!" We ran into a large chamber. We couldn't believe our eyes. On the ground was a large pentagram, drawn with a white powder with lighted candles at each point of the star. The resounding murmur suddenly stopped as a gust of wind blew out the candles. We were terrified. Only the lights on our phones broke through the darkness. This is when I noticed something strange on the far wall. A series of paintings. Faces. Dozens of them. Bloody and screaming in pain as if they were being tortured. Then, in the middle of the wall, I saw her. Clear as day, Cathy's face. Eyes looking at me, scared and crying, as if she was begging for me to help her. I turned to Robbie. His face was white. He wasn't looking at Cathy's painting. He was looking at something else. Other paintings. That's when the hair on the back of my neck stood up. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. There, painted on the wall, both of our faces. The murmurs were suddenly back, louder than before, unbearably loud. I grabbed Robbie's arm and shouted, "Let's get the fuck out of here!" As we ran towards the entrance, the murmurs transformed into horrible and deafening screams. They were behind us, growing louder and louder. We raced through the maze of tunnels and shafts until we reached the entrance. We burst out of the mine and ripped through the yellow police tape. Exhausted, I stumbled and fell to the ground. I glanced back at the mine, saw shimmering lights and someone's shadow move across the entrance. I was terrified. Robbie helped me up, and we ran through the dense forest as fast as we could. As we reached the road, we heard the deafening cry pleading for help. We didn't turn around or stop. We just kept on running. A few days later, Cathy's body was found in a bag by the Grimsfield police. It was buried in a shallow grave near the entrance of the mine. Her hands and feet were tied. Her body had been sadistically mutilated and burned. The police also found 6 bodies and more than a dozen bags of human remains on the site. This went viral. It was all over the Grimsfield news. Numerous images were shown on television of the mass grave where the bodies were found. People were shocked and scared. Horrific photos of Cathy's mangled body were also leaked on the internet, adding to the pain everyone felt for the victim's family. What coward would do such a thing? Police spent months investigating the mine and its surroundings. In the end, no one was ever charged with the murders. The other bodies and bags of human remains were never identified. How can that even be possible? What haunts me the most is that they never mentioned the pentagram, the strange paintings on the wall, or those harrowing murmurs. I'm not crazy. I was there. I know what I saw. As for Robbie, he had a psychotic breakdown shortly after the events and ended up in a mental institution after trying to hang himself. Soon after, the entrance to the mine was permanently sealed with cement, and a high fence was erected. This leads me to believe that someone, somewhere, knows the truth and is hiding it from us. One thing is for sure. No man-made prison can ever hold back the dark and evil presence I witnessed in that mine. I believe it's only a matter of time before it resurfaces and kills again. Believe me when I say, no one is safe in Grimsfield. My message is clear. Get out if you can, and never come back.